And welcome back to Official Access with Martin County on 1450 WSTU and 1590 WPSL. My name is Bob Hoganson. I'm the host for Official Access. We've had a great conversation with Kevin Abate, our Parks Director at Martin County, and Kylie Zerbel, our Mosquito Manager here in Martin County. But now, one of my favorite departments of all, ladies and gentlemen, Darlene Encomio with the library system. Thank you, Darlene, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Darlene is the Literacy, Education, and Outreach Manager, and I got to tell you, we have got such a cool library system here, and I think a lot of people know that. There's a lot of programs, a lot of cool stuff for sort of as small of a county as Martin County is. We offer so much cool stuff going on at the libraries, and you guys are constantly adding new things and new fun stuff. It seems like it's coming online every other month at different libraries around the county. Give me some of the basics for people that maybe don't know what the libraries do for us.
All right, so yes, we do have 6 different library locations, which range all the way from Indiantown to Jensen Beach. And we also have 2 locations that people may not know about, which is Gateway to the Arts, which is an art studio that has been grant funded for the past 3 years, thanks to a generous donation and funders of the Community Foundation for Palm Beach and Martin counties. And we're able to basically offer free art classes to the Golden Gate area in Stuart. And then another location is the Golden Gate Historical Building, which is actually run through the House of Hope. But we do provide some classes there. We have some books that people can check out. And so we are very excited about being able to expand the library locations to those off-site locations. But yes, we have libraries all throughout the county, and then most of them are open 6 days a week or 5 days a week. We have the Blake Library, which is now open on Sundays. People have been waiting for a library to be open every single day. And so in November of 2017, we were able to expand our Idea Lab at the Blake Library and have Sunday hours.
You know, I think that the idea of a library has changed so much over time. When you and I were kids, libraries were largely just places to check out books. Now, there may have been some reading programs and things like this, but they are really becoming technology centers. And these idea labs that you touched on are really amazing for the public. The Blake Library just opened their idea lab late last year, and I happened to be there for the ribbon cutting and saw some of the great stuff. Talk about some of the things you can find at the Idea Labs and really what they mean for the community.
Well, this concept started with the Peter and Julie Cummings Library in Palm City in July of 2012. And the Idea Lab was really supposed to be a location where people could have content creation, get their hands on new technology, create films with green screens, have a studio to create music. And that idea really expanded to all the different locations. And so then we were able to open up one in the Elizabeth Lottie Library, which is out in Indiantown. And so there are STEM kits there. We have makey programs. We have Spheros, robotic balls, and playstations. And we even have Rosetta Stone Language Learning Lab. And then there's a driving simulator, so kids or adults can practice their driving skills that way. And then there are even iMacs loaded with Adobe Creative Cloud for Photoshop, InDesign, Lightrooms, and more. Then we were able to open up the Hope Sound Idea Lab, which is really photography based. And so people are able to check out like virtual realities for your smartphone. There's a tabletop studio light kit for the kids to play with in the kids area. Lots of different things revolving around photography. And we have light kits, tripods, light boxes for photography, jewelry, clothing, and more. You can take pictures of things that you'd like to sell on perhaps eBay or Etsy. And then there's the Robert Moorgate Idea Lab, which has a flight simulator. And we have expanded the flight simulator classes to all day long on Fridays. And there are 6 one-hour classes every Friday. They are full right now, but you can go on the wait list. There is a flight club that beats the second Saturday of every month where they journey around America. So you basically fly throughout America. And this next year, they're going to be doing navigation training so that they can journey around the world. So you can expand your horizons just by sitting down in the Moorgate Library.
It's really interesting. I went out to the ribbon cutting of the Idea Lab in Indiantown at the Lati Library, and the kids were just having a blast.
Yes.
And it's specifically out there, they have a lot of this STEM learning, science, technology,
Engineering and math.
Sort of things. I remember there were these. It was connected to a computer, and these little.
Those are the makey.
Little, I don't even know what you call them, little diodes, and you just touched them.
Yes,
or dipped your
clips.
hand with the alligator clips, and you dipped your finger in the water, and it played the music. There was also the like robotics sort of track there, if you will, where the little robotic cars can drive around. I think what's really cool is that the kids are playing and entertaining themselves, but they're also learning something about it while they're doing it.
Yes, and so we're actually going to we've created a series at the Blake Library, which will begin in April, called STEAM Sundays, and we'll have a lot of our STEM kits, which were sponsored by the Library Foundation through a generous donation through Claire and Molly Tyler. And some of these STEM kits actually have like Lego We-Dos in them. They have some of the makey-makeys you were talking about, introduction to coding. And so like kindergartners can start to learn how to code. I mean, this is amazing. And they get excited about it. And so we're basically paving the way for these kids to get excited about things that maybe they might not normally get excited about.
Well, I know that my son is 4, and he came to the ribbon cutting with me at the Idea Lab at the Blake, and you guys have that big Lego wall there, and he was like zoom right to the Lego wall. He sat there for about an hour just building stuff on the Lego wall. Just kind of talk about that kind of Lego wall. It's so cool.
Yes. So my son was also there, and he ran over to the Lego. He knew that we were creating the Lego wall for months.
He was just waiting for the ribbon
and
cutting.
He was waiting to use it. Yeah. And I think my husband was too.
Yeah.
But yes, so there is a Lego wall in the lobby of the Blake Library, and we weren't sure if it would get a lot of attention, but we put out an idea book for people to get ideas on what to create on the Lego wall. And so as soon as we put that out, we started to see like Pac-Man on the Lego wall. We saw My Little Pony, Star Wars. People had expanded to creating like the Empire State Building. And so it's a great way to bring the community together to share ideas. And I think the Lego wall is just a great representative of that. And in addition to the Lego wall at the Blake Idea Lab, we have the microfilm scanner, which has been getting a lot of use, both for people who are interested in finding things out from Stewart News many years ago. We also have a 3D printer.
That is so cool. That was one of the things that I was really checking out when I was there. Is you can load a program in there and print off pretty much anything.
Yes. And some of the great stories that I've heard around 3D printers are, we had a librarian who came to visit us a couple years ago from Chattanooga Library, which is in Tennessee. And it's the same area that the Mozilla founders, Firefox owners live. And so they're able to get a nice donation to have several 3D printers. But the example that she gave was that there was a dad who had a son who had a prosthetic hand, and he wasn't always able to find like the right spoon or fork for his son to use. And so he would actually go into the Chattanooga Public Library and use their 3D printer to print out a spoon that would be fitting for his son's prosthetic hand. And so we're hoping to see things like that at the Idea Lab. And of course, we have other things like a sewing embroidery machine, which has been getting a lot of use, the Cricut and the Ellison die cut. And there's also, for those business people or the workforce out there, there's a collaborative conference table. So there's this big smart TV, and you have all these plugins and chairs around a table that people are able to use whenever they need it.
and people can bring in their vinyl records and download it into MP3s. Talk about that. I know that's been a very popular, although vinyl's kind of coming back. People just want to keep listening on the vinyl. The record players I know are coming back. But, you know, a lot of people are still wanting those old albums on MP3 form on DVDs or CDs rather, or thumb drives or something like that, right?
Yes, so digitization is actually the theme of the Blake Idea Lab. And so not only is there a vinyl to MP3 or MP4 machine, but there's also the same thing for DVD or VHS converters. So if you're like me and you have like all these CDs and DVDs that are taking up a lot of space in your house.
You don't have a bunch of VHSs still, do you?
It's interesting that you ask, because as soon as I told my husband about this, he said, "But you just donated all my VHS to Goodwill." So I could have converted all of that, but I didn't. But I'm looking forward to actually converting the DVDs and the CDs to MP4.
Again, you're listening to Official Access with Martin County on WSTU 1450 and 1590 WPSL. I am your host, Bob Hoganson. I'm the operations manager for Martin County Television. With Martin County, on Martin County Television, you can find us on Comcast Channel 20 or AT&T UVerse Channel 99. You can also find us, and really anything to do with the county, at www.martin.fl.us. Of course, we're also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. You can just search for Martin County or Martin County Board of County Commissioners. We're having a great show today. Darlene Encomio is here with the Martin County Library System. Really appreciate you being here. Beanstack Reading App. What is that? I've been hearing a lot about this, and I'm hoping you can kind of break it down for me.
So we're very excited yet again to be able to offer a literary app. And Beanstack, I just did a little bit of research and found out that Beanstack started on Shark Tank.
There you go. So it's funded by Mark Cuban and his buddies up there.
What it is really is kind of an incentive or a reward system, or even for those that are looking to find out what to read next. It's a literary app that serves many different purposes. The great purpose that we're trying to inform people about right now is 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. So if you go onto our website, or if you go onto mcls.beanstack.org, you'll be able to sign up either yourself or your child to either read 1,000 books before kindergarten. If you register your child to start reading 1,000 books before kindergarten, you get a free book at the library. A nice quality book, either Dr. Seuss or Winnie the Pooh. We've got a nice little variety of books for those kids. Then you get that free book. And then you're also contributing to motivating and inspiring your child to get on a regular reading process. Or, you know, in our household, we end up always reading 3 books before we go to bed. And if we don't read that 3rd book, then the world is about to crumble. And it was something that we started, and we're very happy about it. But we do have to read 3 books, no less.
I know how that goes.
And my son will be going to kindergarten in the fall. And so sometimes we need that little reminder that we should be reading, you know, at least a book a day. And so 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten just reminds us that we need to read those books. And so Beanstack also allows you to get weekly book recommendations for your child or for yourself. I get them, and it helps me to find out what I should read next. When you first register, it asks you what type of genre you like and what type of books you like. And so they'll send you actual book titles that are in the library that you should read next.
Really cool stuff. Of course, there's so many programs, but at the end of the day, there are also books to be read at the library. Real quick, before we wrap up the show, I'd like you to talk about some of the other programs sort of outside of the physical libraries. You're talking about the Chautauqua South concert series and educational series. Talk about that a little bit. We've recorded some stuff for MCTV. Most recently, you had a world-renowned violinist.
Yes, Gareth Johnson.
That was incredible. Give me a quick little synopsis of some of those programs that people can enjoy.
Yes, we thank MCTV for coming out and covering some of this stuff, but we have a great array of programs during the Chautauqua South season, which is January through April. We're celebrating our 27th year. We have McCartney Mania, which is coming up on April 2nd. That is a ticketed event, so you want to make sure to get your tickets on Saturday, March 24th at 10:30 at the Blake Library. We have the Coastal Lecture Series, which is hosted by the Florida Oceanographic Society, and their next upcoming program will be on Monday, March 12th, and that's at 6:30 at the Blake Library for their Coastal Lecture Series. This year they're talking about organisms, ecosystems, and the human connection. We also have a wonderful program which we partner and collaborate with PBS. It's called POV Films, which is Point of View. They're documentary style films which focus on societal issues. The next one is Sunday, March 18th at 2 o'clock.
I'd like to thank Darlene Encomio for joining us today from the Martin County Library System. I'd also like to thank our other guests, Kevin Abate with the Parks and Recreation Department and Kylie Zerbel with Martin County Mosquito Control. I'm your host, Bob Hoganson. You've been listening to Official Access with Martin County on 1450 WSTU and 1590 WPSL. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter. You can find us on the internet at www.martin.fl.us, and that's a great starting place for any information you're looking for. There's a big search bar right on the top of the page where you can search for any information you want, including libraries. Darlene, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate all the information you provided. I hope that we provided you some information and education about some of the stuff going on in Martin County. Again, I'm Bob Hoganson for Official Access with Martin County. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.